Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is Stage 2 of Dauphiné 2025. If you watch Stage 1, spectacular battle amongst the three best GC riders in the race. Remco, Jonas Vingegaard, Tadej Pogacar, and Mathieu van der Poel was up there along with the Bahrain victorious rider Santiago Buitrago that went all the way into the line where the race leader's yellow jersey, Tadej Pogacar, wrapped up the stage victory and took that race leader's yellow jersey. So when we start Stage 2, you look at the course at 205 kilometers, we'll call it about 130 miles in length. And if I bring you back to the interviews before Stage 1, where I told you yesterday, Remco Evenepoel says his power and his weight is better than it was this time last year, so closer to the Tour de France form. Well, if I bring you into the interview of Tadej Pogacar before Dauphiné started proper, when they're talking about his power numbers, well, Tadej Pogacar said his power numbers are good all season long with the exception of November. So we'll get into Stage 2. Let's see what's going to happen. It should be a field sprint, but yesterday should have been a field sprint too. When the cameras come on, there's 4 riders in the break up the road. They're holding about a 1 minute and 20, 1 minute and 30 second gap on the train behind, being led in the Peloton by Lidl Trek and, of course, Alpecin de Koenigs at the front, because Mathieu van der Poel, who finished third in yesterday's stage, if he can win the sprint today and take some time bonuses, maybe he can get himself into the race leader's yellow jersey. So Mathieu van der Poel is still a little bit fuming from losing yesterday's Stage 1 sprint to a bunch of tiny little guys, but you let it out from 290 meters to go, and that's why Tadej Pogacar is the #1 ranked rider in the world wearing race leader's jersey. So Lidl Trek and Alpecin de Koenigs are pulling back there, and we're going to go into the last 2 climbs on today's stage that could start with 60 kilometers to go. This first one coming up is Category 2 climb, but at about 3.5 kilometers long at 6%. It's not a monster climb, but as the 4 riders reach it, we see right away Chris Juul Jensen and Victor Gerlach there from Arkea Samsic. They're going to break away from Roman Bardet and Paul Orsolin, the KOM jersey from Cofidis. Those 2 riders are going to drop. So with 2 riders going up the road, we start looking at the Peloton behind. When we're getting about halfway up this climb, Lidl Trek's Johnny Milan, the big-time 5-star favorite to win Stage 2, but he was 5-star favorite to win Stage 1 too. He's coming out the back right now. He's got a couple teammates wrapped around him, and we'll see a few more teammates wait for him as they're going up this climb. Now, where they go over the top and Lidl Trek's off the back, we see going down the descent, Viz Melissa Bike, UAE team members are on the front, and we see Alpecin de Koenigs on the front further down the descent with whole Trek back there chasing like crazy, and a group of about 10-15 riders back there with Lidl Trek pulling to try to get Johnny Milan up here so he can get a chance at winning Stage 2. Stage 3 looks a little bit more complicated for Johnny Milan, so this might be the last stage Johnny Milan can take care of Dauphiné. If he can't get back on, he might come out of here with 0 stage victories. Lidl Trek's pulling into about 45 kilometers to go when they reach the back end of the Peloton, and as they're reaching the back, the front of the Peloton's wrapping up the breakaway guys here with 45 kilometers to go, so everything's compact. We come into 1 lap to go with 43 kilometers to go. It's curb-to-curb action. These guys are nervous, and nobody's even up the road. It has been nervous all day, but now it's getting really nervous under the last lap to go here with 43K, and we start seeing Viz Melissa Bike, UAE team members at the front, Alpecin de Koenigs at the front, and it's a battle royale until we're coming into about 30 kilometers to go when the road gets super narrow again. At this moment, they're coming into the turn, and Viz Melissa Bike's at the front, exiting the turn with my man Victor Campenaerts at the front, and he's got some company with Perstrand close by. With Viz Melissa Bike on the front, UAE team members pop back in the picture on this narrow road coming around the left side. We see Niels Palet come around the left, and then he comes all the way over to the right, and him and Perstrand start going at it. I mean, they're bumping. They're having some issues. Perstrand's throwing his hands up there, looking over at Niels Palet from UAE team members, going, "What are you doing?" And I'm sitting on the Chesterfield like, "Niels, what are you doing? You're all the way on the left side of the road. You went all the way to the right. Your teammates there, Tadej Pogacar in the race leader's jersey, followed you from the left through the back into the group there. Now he's behind you as you guys are bumping. If you guys crash, you're taking down the race leader's yellow jersey. And if I'm giving a yellow card to anybody, I'm giving it to Niels Palet. But after the stage, both these guys are going to get a yellow card here for the bumping and grinding that we see here on the right side of the road. Now, finally, they'll split apart and things will normalize up a little bit on this narrow, crazy road where the Peloton's fighting feisty right now, fighting curb to curb. We come into about 20 kilometers to go, and we see it's time for Remco Evenepoel, Soudal Quickstep, to start getting himself to the front. As he's nearing the front with just about 20 kilometers to go, they make a left turn to go across the bridge, and all of the favorites, the three favorites, and one Mathieu van der Poel is at the front of the peloton as they're crossing the bridge. And we look back, Johnny Milan's near the front of the peloton, so Lidl-Trek's done a good job of having their A sprinter starting this next climb, because he did get dropped on the last one. And the next one's a category 4, a little bit softer, 1.8 kilometers at 6%. So Johnny Milan's not going to have to suffer like he did on the last one. But as the peloton starts this climb, we get up to about 900K to go to the top of this summit. And it's time right now for Bardet to throw an attack for Picnic. Now, Bardet's retiring at the end of this season, so this is his last hurrah here at Dauphiné, and this is going to be his last big-time showing here in 2025. So we see Romain Bardet throwing in attack as he's going solo up the road. Peloton's not interested in Romain Bardet. He gets about a 10-second gap, goes over the top of the KOM, drops down this descent through the narrow village here, and the peloton behind, Viz, Melissa Bike, UAE, Team Emirates are all over the front, but it's still nervous up there. With 15 kilometers to go, the gap started extending out to about 10, and he'll get about a 20-second gap at his maximum time for Romain Bardet. Go into 11 kilometers to go. Lidl-Trek's near in the front of the peloton, but Viz, Melissa Bike, UAE, Team Emirates have been in the picture the whole time. We go just under 10. Romain Bardet is getting wrapped up. That means the stage victory is up for grabs, as we expected before the stage turned on. So the peloton's crazy nervous. Viz, Melissa Bike, UAE, Team Emirates are trying to get control of the peloton, but nobody has it. We come into about 7 kilometers to go. You look at the back of the peloton. The only person that's not nervous in this peloton right now is Ben Healy from EF Education. He's standing up on his bike, swerving a little bit from the left side to the right side. He's having a good time back there because he's a stage hunter. He is not a GC guy right now. It's got to be a marvelous feeling when you know you just have to go win some stages and they'll pay you the big paycheck, but you don't have to be battling up there at the front like we see Viz, Melissa Bike, Albacine de Koenig's been up there, UAE, Team Emirates been up there, Soudal Quickstep's getting a little bit out of the picture, and we're coming into about 5 kilometers to go. We go just under 5 into 4.5 kilometers to go. UAE Team members have what could be considered somewhat of a control of the peloton here on stage 2 of Dauphiné. With UAE Team members driving it, we're coming into 3.5. Now as we come into 3.5, Lidl-Trek start coming into the picture, and they got 3 guys at the front and 2 guys slightly behind them. Simone Consone and Tom Squinge are the 2 riders that are off of the 3 in front, but Jasper Stuyvens, Ed Toons, and Johnny Milan are the 3 riders that are up there with the UAE Team Emirates train. Now we look a little further back. It's time for Ben Healy now to call it an end of stage 2 as he drops off the back. He's safe and sound. He's going to save his legs for the later mountain stages coming at the end of the week here at Dauphiné. Go back up front, and we see Jonathan Narvaez is on the front as we're coming through these roundabouts, and the 2 riders in the back, Lidl-Trek, are starting to make their way closer to the front. Tom Squinge and Simone Consone, as they're coming through and exiting these roundabouts, they're moving up. We come into 1.4 kilometers ago. Narvaez has had it for his leg, so he's pulling off. It's time for Sivakov to go to work, but he's not going to be on the front for too long because there's 4 Lidl-Trek riders on the front. Simone Consone had found his way from the back, moved from the left side to the right side, moved himself up into the first position for Lidl-Trek. Jasper Stuyvens sitting second. Third, Ed Toons, and fourth is Johnny Milan. Now this is a bit of a switch of a situation for Lidl-Trek's Johnny Milan, because normally Simone Consone is the last lead-out guy for Johnny Milan, but I'm assuming since the road is wide open into the finish with just a 425-meter left bend going into the finish of today's stage, I'm assuming that Simone Consone, because it's not super technical, he's taking the front a little bit early as Lidl-Trek starting to drive it on the front. Now we look a little further back. We're at about 1.3, 1.2 kilometers to go. Mathieu van der Poel is going ape. He was on the left side. Now he's trying to get on the Johnny Milan's wheel, and he's got Paul Pinot there from FDJ. He's giving the shoulder to Paul Pinot, and he's fighting big time there as Paul Pinot is fighting back with Mathieu van der Poel, the classic specialist, but now trying to turn himself into a sprinter as he's fighting for Johnny Milan's wheel. Now, Paul Pinot's doing a fantastic job of holding off Mathieu van der Poel, and if I point out to you, just in front of Paul is his teammate Clement Rousseau that's trying to lead him out, so Paul Pinot has the right to be in this position, but Mathieu van der Poel, of course, wants Johnny Milan's wheel. Things get very interesting as now we look at AG2R coming into the picture. This rider's Parapentre, Aurelien Parapentre coming from the left side, and Paul Pinot's on the right. So Mathieu van der Poel's getting squeezed back. Now, why is it interesting for Parapente to be fighting over there with Mathieu van der Poel? Look all the way to the left side of the road. That's AG2R. That's Nelson Oliveira over there on the left, and their sprinter Trochon there, Bastian Trochon, that's sitting second wheel as AG2R going up the left side of the road. So I don't know why Parapente is battling with Mathieu van der Poel, but he's going to lose the battle because with Poel on the right and with Parapente on the left, that squeezes off Mathieu van der Poel. So Mathieu van der Poel from AG2R has to slip back as the ex-world champion slips back because he knows he's lost his battle for Johnny Milan's wheel. So he slips back, moves over to the right, and then accelerates again up the right side to come over the top of Paul Pinot there from FDJ. And then they're going to do some more bumping. And finally, Mathieu van der Poel seems to be winning the battle right here as he's getting closer to taking the wheel of Johnny Milan, sitting in fourth position, Johnny in third. We look over to the left side of the road there. We see it's AG2R still driving it up the left side of the road, and they got Bahrain Victorious behind them. That duel back there is Robert Standard, and it's Fred Wright that's sitting behind AG2R. We're coming into 1.1 kilometer to go as Simone Consone is starting to blow. He's pulling off the front. It's time for Jasper Stuyvens to go to work. With Jasper Stuyvens going to work at the front, Ed Toon sitting second, Johnny Milan third. Everything's looking like peaches and roses for Johnny Milan until all of a sudden we see Total Energy come in the picture. It's Anthony Turgis and his sprinter Jean-Pierre. Jean-Pierre's there and looks like Anthony Turgis is holding up Johnny Milan as we're coming under the 1K banner. Johnny Milan gives a little bit of tap there to the right hip of the Total Energy Anthony Turgis, and Anthony Turgis, gentleman that he is, moves slightly over to the left, and FDJ rider Caruso that was on the right side that was trying to lead out Paul Pinot, he moves over a little bit. Now Johnny Milan's coming under the 1K banner in third position, looking fantastic. While he's looking fantastic, Jean-Pierre, Mathieu van der Poel, and Paul Pinot going at it again, with Paul Pinot FDJ getting squeezed out even further down the train. Then Mathieu van der Poel is going to come out fourth position with about 925, 950 meters to go. So Mathieu van der Poel's won the battle after 500 meters of battling with multiple times with Paul Pinot and multiple other riders. Now he's sitting fourth, though. Everything's looking pretty. Finally, things are looking fantastic as it's starting to line out with the front row there, four riders. And then all of a sudden, AG2R on the left side, we see that Nelson Oliveira blows. When he blows, Trochon comes all the way over from the left side to the right side. Now he wants to do some bumping back there, but it looks like Mathieu van der Poel still got a good wheel, and all the battling's going to happen back there with Jean-Pierre, Paul Pinot, and of course, on the far side there, that's the Astana rider that's come in the picture, Fedorov. So he's in the picture. One other rider I'm forgetting, but I can't remember. The chaos is big time as we're coming into about 850 meters to go. Now, Paul Pinot's definitely going to lose the battle. The Astana rider wins the battle for fifth position behind Mathieu van der Poel's wheel, Fedorov. But guess what? We look up front. Jasper Stuyvens looks left over his wheel, and he sees Bahrain Victorious is coming. Robert Standard's coming up the left side. So Jasper Stuyvens moves everyone from the right side of the road over to the left with about 600 meters to go. That's going to hold up the speed there of Bahrain Victorious Standard that has Fred Wright on his wheel. But when he moves back over to the right side, because remember, 425 meters to go, there's a left turn. I already told you guys that a long time ago, but you may have forgotten. So as they go back over to the right side with 500 meters to go, Jasper Stuyvens is still on the front. Ed Toon sitting second. Johnny Milan third. And Mathieu van der Poel has held on to the fourth position behind Johnny Milan. But Bahrain Victorious come up the left side still. Robert Standard sitting there side by side. And we see Fred Wright's moving into the position just behind Mathieu van der Poel, bumping off Fedorov back there as they're starting this 425-meter left turn, the final left turn on stage 2. They come out of this left turn. Jasper Stuyvens is on the front. He comes out all the way on the right, immediately pulls off to the left. As he does, we see the acceleration from Ed Toons with Johnny Milan on his wheel. Mathieu van der Poel and Fred Wright, Bahrain Victorious, sitting on the wheel. Mathieu van der Poel behind him. Fedorov, a stunner rider, sitting just behind Mathieu van der Poel as we come into 300 meters to go. First rider to throw in the acceleration of the sprinters is going to be the Bahrain Victorious rider, Fred Wright. He starts his acceleration going up the right side as he's passing by Mathieu van der Poel. At this moment, Ed Toons looks back. He knows he's got to pull off the front, and Johnny Milan comes into play as we hit about 250 meters to go. Johnny Milan throws in his acceleration to the right side and takes everyone to the fencing as Mathieu van der Poel has to go to the left and all the way around the left, because remember, Ed Toons is dropping back as Mathieu van der Poel's going left, Johnny Milan's on the fencing going right, and he's got Fred Wright on his wheel. Now, Mathieu van der Poel comes around the left side of Ed Toons. When he does, he almost takes out the bars or the front wheel there of Ed Toons from Lidl-Trek as he's dropping back, but he holds his bike up. Mathieu van der Poel goes all the way over the top of him and then side by side with Fred Wright, but Johnny Milan's got the lead here coming into about 100 meters to go. 75 meters to go, Mathieu van der Poel goes hard back to the left to the center of the road. Fred Wright still on the back wheel of Johnny Milan. Then he starts his acceleration, but we're coming in at 25 meters to go. Johnny Milan is sitting up, getting ready to celebrate a stage 2 victory here for Lidl-Trek. As he celebrates crossing the line, it's a bike throw behind where we see Fred Wright from Bahrain victorious toss the bike. He gets second. Mathieu van der Poel gets third to grab himself some crucial 4-second time bonuses here on stage 2. But up front with the victory of Johnny Milan, not only does he get the stage victory here, stage 2, but he's going to put himself in the race leader's yellow jersey with the 10-second time bonus for winning the stage. Behind the race leader's yellow jersey, Tadej Pogacar finishes safely in the group, but he'll move to second on the general classification. Mathieu van der Poel will be third on the general classification with a shot in tomorrow's stage 3 if he can get some time bonuses, possibly win the stage. Mathieu van der Poel could get himself into the race leader's jersey if Johnny Milan gets dropped on tomorrow's stage or doesn't get any time bonuses. Now, when we're talking about the FDJ rider, well, Paul Pinot, he ended up getting relegated to last in the group on today's stage 2, and he got yellow carded. How do I see this? I don't think it's his fault. When you really dissect the battling going on between him and Mathieu van der Poel, and he battled with a lot of guys and saved his... How he didn't crash is amazing. He saved it. But when you look at it and you see Caruso, Clement Caruso's teammate in the front, that's leading him out, keeping him in the position behind Lidl-Trek, Mathieu van der Poel came over and started bumping with him. And when we look at Paul's ride, he won that battle. Then we see Mathieu van der Poel come up over the left side and battle again. I don't think anyone should get relegated. That's how you win these positions behind someone like Johnny Milan. You have to battle for that position. There's going to be some bumping. That is the way it is, as long as nobody comes in 100% hard, which I didn't see happen. So I don't think anyone should be relegated. But if you really want to start relegating people, Mathieu van der Poel was the first to come in and bump with Paul there from FDJ. So there's no way I'm relegating Paul. This is just bike racing and bike sprinting at the top of the level here. You're going to see some bumping. So Paul, I think you got unjust on today's race. You got abused a lot from all the other sprinters, but I think you did the right race and all the way into the finish. That's the way you battle at these field sprints. I'll see you guys for tomorrow's stage 3, where anything might happen in this year's 25 Dauphiné. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys real soon.